Well, good morning. Karie Lee here from Alone Season 9, and I want to share with you every week a little bit of backstory about each episode as it comes out. So I'm going to post it a few days after so that you'll have the opportunity to watch the show first, because I don't want to do any spoiler alerts like, oh, so don't watch this if you haven't seen episode 1, okay? So, yes, the first thing you see is me tripping as I'm getting out from underneath the blades of the helicopter. And yes, that did happen. A little backstory on that is I had the flu really bad. My head felt like it was going to explode. My equilibrium is off. I've gained way too much weight. I'm pretty plump, so my coordination is off. And in my boots, I had not put my inserts in yet. They needed to be trimmed. I ran out of time. I packed them. So my boots were clumpy and loose. And I didn't worry about it. I was like, no problem. So yeah, the first thing I do, 2 steps out of the helicopter, I trip and fall. So that was embarrassing. And I really didn't think they would show up, but they did. Of course they did. So a little bit of humility there, and I'm glad I could entertain you guys all with my clumsiness. Yeah, they made it look pretty dramatic, but it was okay. I just tripped over a stick. It was okay. I didn't hurt myself. It's like I said, that environment is really, really wet. I had about 1 hour before that big black cloud came with a big squall. And I didn't know how long it was going to last, like an hour or many days. So I didn't have much time to really think about what I was doing. I just had to act. And even though I was sick and really exhausted, I just kind of had to deal and make it happen. Like, I'm here. I have to make this happen. So I didn't waste much time. I went away from the direction that the wind was coming, down into a little gully, so I would be protected out of the wind. And I found a little flat spot. The ground was really moist and about this thick, full of moss. And I used that moss to my benefit to have something cushy to sleep on. The branches are all wet, so I didn't do the bough bed, not at that point. I only had 1 hour to deal with this. So it gave me some comfort, but it was also a sponge. So instead of doing a tarp like in the traditional lean-to or a A-frame tent style, like some of the other contestants, I made more like a clam shape. So I had the tarp underneath me, wrapped around and above me, and then I folded in the sides. So it was pretty much like a clamshell, and the water, and it would keep the water and the wind out. And I set my pot out so I could collect rainwater off the tarp and not have to worry about where I was going to get my water, having to start a fire in the rain so that I could boil my water. At that point, I was probably a half a mile from the river, so I didn't know where my water source was at that point. So that turned out really sweet to set up that tarp in a way that I could collect my drinking water and not have to worry about it. The tarp they gave us was worse than a garbage bag. I don't know where you can get tarps like this. Maybe the dollar store, like, hey, can you guys spend a little more money on a tarp? But I felt like as I was unfolding it, I was afraid I was going to poke a hole or rip it. It was that delicate of a tarp. Yeah, so for you guys who think that, oh, you got a tarp, you can do anything, that tarp was crap. Just saying saying that. The grouse. So that was a pretty cool moment. I was on a hill, little knoll there, and you can see that it's all red. That redness are these little tiny blueberry bushes. And that's what I was doing. I was sitting there eating blueberries, and you can see my lips were all purple, my mouth is all purple, because I was chowing down on the blueberries. And then when I looked up, it was like, oh, a grouse just walked out of the brush. So I grabbed my bow, and I missed that first shot, as you see. And that footage was actually exactly how it went down. It flew off, I fleshed it out, came over the knoll, didn't see it, spooked it again. But that little grouse was more concerned about eating blueberries, and it forgot about me in 15 seconds? It's like, oh, I'm in the street. No, I want to eat blueberries. It came down and went right back down in front of me. Unfortunately, it was downhill, and I would say a probably 20-yard shot downhill, so it was not the easiest shot. plus all the brush that's in the way. So I was super grateful for that and like, oh my God, I did it. So, but that scene was right on spot, exactly how it happened. So grateful for that. And the reason why you see me taking my shot and then the camera moves away, that's because my GoPro was right here. So if you can see, I'm looking at my shot. I'm looking at where I'm going to shoot. And as I pulled my bow back, the camera goes this way, which was perfect because that was commercial break. So that worked out just fine. That might all be what I have to share at this moment. I have to say the environment was beautiful. I can't share much more because we're just getting started, but they've introduced the first 6 participants and there's 4 more to be introduced next week. And so I really hope that you tune in and check out the rest of the guys on the team. We have an awesome team out there and I just have to say I love them all. All the guys, I love Jesse and I think we're a rocking team. So tune in next week. So even if I'm not on the episode, I'll go ahead and give a little bit of backstory about what I know, what happened even with the other participants or some other filler stuff that you might be interested in. So tune in and we will see you next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.